Have you ever heard of a double-edged sword? That's what this thing is. It can make you a ton of money. It has for me. But it can also steal your life away from you. And that's what we're going to focus on in this session about focus. I'm going to show you 10 things that are robbing you of productivity, including the phone, and starting with the alerts. The alerts are the thing that are driving you nuts, okay? You're sitting there, you're working, alert, buzz, beep, red light, okay? So you see all the red things on this phone? It's like chicken pox for the phone, and that is what is shutting you down. It's a distraction, a temptation. It's totally getting you off track. So you have to eliminate those. I do not have on my own personal phone a single one of these red dots because I know how distracting and destructive that they can be to me, okay? Because listen, I'm the weakest person in the room when it comes to being distracted, which is why I built all these systems that I'm going to share with you today. Now, the second thing that this phone can do to you is bring on negative news. Imagine this, you start the day, you're having an amazing day, you're in really great spirits, and all of a sudden somebody sends you a message and it's either full of toxicity or negativity, or you start scrolling around and end up on a news site because of some clickbait link that got you there, and the next thing you know, you're like, oh my God, the world is gonna end, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die, oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose all my money, and how can you possibly escape that bad rabbit hole that you're in? You know, the escape velocity to get out of negativity back into positivity is so dang tough. And it's because this phone can really mess you up. But that's not the only thing. That's not the only thing. The phone is bad, but we can win the war against it by one, removing all those notifications, and two, getting it out of our hands when we're trying to do important work. But there's way more things that are holding us back that don't include the phone. Now, this next one's going to feel like it might hurt a bit, but you have to stop saying yes so much. Now, you've probably been heard, you got to say yes to everything, okay? You can't be that type of person who's selfish with their time. Listen, you have to be. You have to be ruthless. You have to say no more often. I have this great quote. If you want to do great things, you have to do fewer things. And if you take a look at the most successful people in life, you know, the rich and the famous, can you imagine how many no's they have to say every day? Oprah, for example, right? Like everybody wants to ask Oprah a question. Oprah, you know, my husband's going to leave me, or Oprah, how did you make so much money, or this, that, or the other thing. Now imagine Oprah sat down and said, okay, I'm just going to sit here and answer every single email that comes in, and I'm going to go on every podcast that asks me. Well, she'd be working 168 hours a day, even though it's only 168 hours in a week, right? So Oprah is a genius at saying no. You have to be like Oprah. Say no to all this stuff and only say yes to what only you can do at the highest level that serves more people. If Oprah only answered every single question, Oprah would not be able to help billions of people. She'd be stuck helping just a few dozen or a few hundred, like most other coaches, like most entrepreneurs, like most business owners, like most book authors. No, but Oprah decided to say yes to the great things and no to the little things. So powerful. And I want to give you permission because I know that whenever somebody says or asks you a question and gets a no from you, they give you a hard time, right? But the way that I've rephrased it, so when people say, hey, Craig, will you do my podcast? I say, I'm sorry, there's no room on my calendar. And I'm honest because I have my calendar filled with team meetings, with coaching clients, with time with my girlfriend, with my dog, with my workouts. And I say to them, I don't have any room on my calendar. I'm sorry. And then if they say, come on, you can make some time, I say, well, where would you like to steal the time? Would you like to steal it from my relationship, from my health, from my own personal wealth building, or from, relaxation time, or from my sleep? I'm getting 7 hours right now, and that's what you're supposed to get. So would you like to take that half an hour from my sleep? And they'll be like, no, I don't want to take that time from you. I appreciate it. Right? So you got to say no in order to say yes to the great things. The next thing you need to have is what I talk about in my book, The Perfect Week Formula. Okay, I got a couple things in here I want to share with you. Now, when you're building out your calendar, a lot of people think, okay, great. Today I've got a meeting at 2 and I got a meeting at 4, but you got start times, but you don't have cutoff times. And you don't have cutoff times for when your workday is done. And that can cause a lot of stress at home. So if you operate like this, like you're going through a day, it's a great day, it's an 11 out of 10, and I always wear this shirt to remind me to have that 11 out of 10 attitude. It's always a positive day no matter what. But if I'm going through the day, it's great. Okay, starting this meeting at 2, everybody shows up on time because that's what you do for meetings. But nobody really said, hey, this meeting has to be done by 2:45 or 3:15. And everybody's sitting there going, oh my God, I got my next call at 3 o'clock. I've got another meeting at 3:15. I got to get home and get the kids. Nobody wants to say we need to end this meeting. So you need to have cutoff times. You need to have cutoff times for your workout because, hey, listen, I love going to the gym. I love doing bodyweight workouts out in the park now that I can't go to the gym for a while. And if I didn't have a cutoff time, if I didn't say, okay, this workout can only be 40 minutes, I'll be out there for an hour and a half and it'll ruin the rest of my day. It'll really challenge me to have an 11 out of 10 for the rest of the day if I have thrown away time. And same with your workday. If you have a spouse and kids and hobbies and relaxation waiting for you at home to recover so you dominate tomorrow, but you don't have a cutoff time for your work, or you don't have a cutoff time for your phone and you keep on going through all those alerts until right up to bedtime, or maybe half an hour past bedtime, or you don't have a cutoff time on the number of Netflix shows you're going to watch, the next thing you know, you've given away so much important time and your day has gotten off track. So you have to have a cutoff time. And when you start going into calls, hey, I have time for a 20-minute call at 2 o'clock on Tuesday. Great. Okay, yeah, we'll be done in 20 minutes, no problem. Otherwise, that call could have gone on for 45 minutes. When people do have a podcast that's big enough to warrant my attention, I'll go on, I'll say, listen, I got to be done in 35 minutes. I've got to move on to the next thing. It's cutoff time, right? And if you look at people who are more famous than you, and they gave you their time, and they said, I got to be done by this time, you'd be like, yeah, okay, great. And you can do the same thing. Okay, so just say, I got to be done by this time. Cutoff time for it keeps you on track. And that will be a game changer. Now, another thing that people are not doing enough of is planning. And so that I cover extensively in my book, Unstoppable, Wall Street Journal bestseller here. And I talk about my friend, Amy Ledeen. Amy Ledeen has 5 kids, and her husband and Amy run a massive online nutrition coaching company. They have hundreds of clients, about a dozen employees, the 5 kids, their own health, their own workouts. She just beat cancer. She was on Ed Milet's podcast. She's an amazing woman. Now, if she did not plan the day, if she just showed up and was like, gets out of bed 11 out of 10 and just, starts going, what should I do today? Well, listen, if you're planning your morning in the morning, you're already too late. You've got to plan it out the night before. So when you don't plan and prepare, you go into the day and you start winging things and you get way off track real fast. Now, I know what you're thinking. I want to be spontaneous, Craig. I don't want to be doing all this planning. Well, I'll tell you what. Does your favorite team practice and plan their plays? Yes. Does your favorite movie follow a script? Yes. Do your favorite songs have lyrics that are planned out in advance? Yes, and so on and so forth. So everything that works really well is planned and prepared. And what we have found in working with thousands of entrepreneurs, everywhere from $100,000 a year to $100 million a year and more, is that the more planned out you are the night before, the higher you are on that scale. So if you don't plan, you're going to be stuck and struggling, as I like to say, plateaued at $100,000 a year. If you plan, you can get to 250, 500, a million. If you plan out your marketing, if you plan out your day, if you plan out your health and fitness, if you plan out everything, you'll become more successful. You'll be the most prepared person in the room, and that's when you start to win. All right, the next 2 are near and dear to my heart, okay? The first one is, and raise your hand if you're guilty of this. I once was. I have hundreds of clients who have been guilty of this till I gave them the productivity beatdown. It's having an excessive morning routine. Do you wake up every single day and have to do gratitude journaling, free-form journaling, and then just regular journaling, and then you have to do motivation videos on YouTube, and then you have to do yoga, and then you have to do exercise, and then you have to do interpretive dance, and you have to do all these things, right? And the next thing you know, 2 hours has gone by, and you're like, oh, well, I'm finally done my morning routine. Time to start doing something. It's the worst way of doing it. And I talk about this in the Perfect Week Formula. I talk about how you can't do all that stuff and you need to use what I call the farm boy morning routine. Farm boy morning routine is when you get up and you go to work. and you planned out the night before so that you get into that work, and then you can do the fun stuff, the workout, the meditation, the motivation, all that stuff, because you want to do it, you're going to do it. But that hard work, well, you'll procrastinate with the morning routine. Then you I got to check my socials and my email, and then I got to go get lunch, and the next thing you know, it's 5 o'clock at the end of the day, and you haven't been productive. Okay, you've been busy in activity, but no accomplishment, and I don't want that to happen to you. So you get up and you dominate your morning. Now the next thing is losing control of your morning. Okay, so there's a difference between an excessive morning routine where you just plan way too much crap, and then losing control of your morning by not having cutoff times, or by having too much caffeine and all of a sudden you start going down the rabbit hole, or not having the exact details of what to do in that morning. So the excessive morning routine, that's just failing to plan properly. And then the losing control of your morning routine is where you don't have boundaries and where you haven't properly prepared with your nutrition, which is next. So a lot of people will wake up and they will immediately have sugar and caffeine. They'll have that either in a Red Bull, or they'll have, Red Bull in the morning, or they will have a Frappuccino, or they'll have just a regular coffee with a lot of sugar in it, or they'll have coffee and basically a dessert for breakfast, whether it's a donut or a pastry or chocolate chip cookie or whatever it is. And that messes up with your blood sugar, and you have a burst of energy and a little bit, and then all of a sudden you crash and your morning is lost, or you're tired, or your nutrition can hurt you later on in the day when you go and have Burger King at lunch or something high carbohydrate at lunch, and you lose your energy over the course of the day. So you have to make sure that you plan your nutrition properly. Lots of water, a little bit of caffeine. Research shows that putting little bits of caffeine in the course of the day are better than having one massive dose of caffeine. That's from the United States Army. So you have to make sure that you have that in place as well. So we are up to 8 now. 8 different things that can rob you of productivity. And we're just about there, home stretch, to make you massively focus when you remove all these things. And the first of the last 2 is hitting snooze. Okay? If you hit snooze, you tell your hopes and dreams that they can wait. And I do not want you doing that. And isn't that true? Right? Okay. You go to bed, you've done your planning and prep, you got to bed on time, and then all of a sudden, you've had your 7 or 8 hours of sleep, but you want to hit snooze once. And once turns into twice or 3 times. But just think of that. You are robbing yourself of the day. The best part of the day, because research shows that morning is the time of day when you have the greatest willpower, discipline, and intention. The greatest willpower, discipline, and intention, except for hitting snooze. You have no willpower over that. And that destroys your dreams, okay? Because now you've lost 10, 20, 30 minutes of your best time. And when you do that, well, you can't get that back. You can't get that back, and the rest of your day is going to go downhill because you've already destroyed a promise to yourself, and so you have low self-confidence, like I can't even get up on time. That's why you can't hit snooze. It's such a danger. And it also makes you more tired. So you think, I'll get more rest. Well, no, you don't, because you're now out of sleep. You get slightly back into sleep, and then the snooze goes off again. And you know what happens? You're groggy, you're tired, and it's a big, bad waste. Now, finally, the last thing is distractions and temptations. So what I want you to do right now, if you're sitting at your workspace, is just go like this. And what you'll realize is all the stuff within arm's reach is a distraction and a temptation. So you have your phone, you have your bag of M&Ms, you have a book, you have your iPad for Netflix, you have all this stuff, and like when the going gets tough, your brain gets distracted. Because I really need to write this sales letter. I need to write this email. I need to put together this plan. But, oh my goodness, that book that's been sitting there for 3 months that I haven't read yet, man, it sure looks good right now. And I understand. Listen, I want you to get all my books, but what I want you to do is remove them from your work area. Remove the distractions and temptations. Because just like alcohol is a distraction and temptation for an alcoholic and it ruins their life, your phone and all these other things within your personal local workspace here are distractions. And even with your phone, those alerts, all the times you want to check Instagram, huge distraction. So you have to put the phone in the other room if you're working on your laptop. When you remove these 10 productivity killers, you're left with nothing but success. Okay, it's going to become automatically easy for you to make the right decision and get more done. So eliminating the 10 productivity killers is what's going to set you ahead in life. You're going to finally be able to move ahead, whether it's write that book or create that program or launch that product on Amazon or finally get your course done to start selling or do these YouTube videos that you've been saying you want to do. You can do it. I believe in you, and it's time for you to believe in you too. Now that we've gotten you the focus that you need, here's what you're going to do next. It's time to build your business. And you've got more time, you've got more focus, you've got more productivity. Now you need the path and blueprint to get there. What I want you to do right now is have another chit chat with me at this website, theballantynemethod.com. It's another video, but it's more interactive where you'll be doing some work with me so that we put together the exact blueprint for you to move forward. All right, so go to theballantynemethod.com right now. You've made more time for it, so let's do it.